Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'll be doing snakes of Singapore. I have a checklist over here of 64 species, and I printed it out. I realized that there are 5 pages, so I'm going to be cutting the video into 5 parts. So I'll be talking about the first 12 species for today. We have the whole list here. I'm just going to say the common names. So Brahimi blind snake, white-bellied blind snake, line blind snake, red-tailed pipe snake, sunbeam snake, reticulated python, banded fowl snake, smooth slat snake, white spotted slat snake, speckled-headed whip snake, big-eyed whip snake, oriental whip snake. Let's begin with one of the smallest snakes in the world. They can get up to about this size, somewhere around here. They look like a worm. It's brown, it's shiny. The eyes got like a fade to it. It's not really like a dot, but more of like it's really unclear on the dorsal part of the head. You may not even notice because it's such a small snake. If you look closely at your head, you will see the tongue actually flicking out like a snake. But it's almost impossible to do that unless you have a scope or a macro lens and all that. But the way that it moves, it also don't look like a worm-like fashion. But in order to do that, you need a microscope and all that. So you observe it by its movement. It moves like a snake. There's actually another group of blind snake that is Anomochelus. The eyes are more prominent in that group because it's at the side and it looks like a dot. So these blind snakes, they're called blind because they don't depend on your visual senses to hunt for your prey, and they can look they can look frantic because they don't know where they are, and all that when you misplace it in somewhere in the open. And they are fossorial snakes, so they will be in soil and all that. Prey item is mostly the ant larvae, present in the same genus, which is the lion blind snake. It's rediscovered in Bukit Timah in 2019, so it's after more than 100 years of missing. And the third one is the Muller's blind snake, or also known as the white-bellied blind snake. It's much larger, it's much fatter. The color is a bit different. It's about blackish with the white belly, and the lion blind snake is almost blackish but with a lot of very distinct lines on it. That's why we call it a blind snake. So the blind snakes are actually fossorial, where they will look for your prey below the soil or on top of the leaf litter around there. And they're called blind because their eyes are not very prominent. They look like faded circles on top of your snout. They also have a limited vision there, but they are able to tell where's the light in the dark because as they come out to the surface, your body is almost like circular, your tails are blind. So the third species, we have the red-tailed pipe snake, a Cylindrophis rufus. It's formerly Cylindrophis mosaic. Mosaic is actually named after Indonesian herpetologists, but a group of herpetologists refuted it into saying that it's the same species as the one that is found in Peninsular Malaysia. So it's no longer a new or endemic species anymore, because originally it was known as the Singapore pipe snake, which got us all excited, but actually it's not the case. But the interesting part about this group of snakes is that they are both aquatic and terrestrial, so they live around swampy areas, mostly near to the disturbed area or plantation like the paddy fields and all that. They mostly eat the fish that lives in man-made kind of streams and all that. How they actually know that is that when they cut up the body, they saw the dead catfishes inside the stomach. Sunbeam is a fossorial snake that they have intuition skills. That's why they call sunbeam, because when you shine the light on it, it reflects rainbow. They are popular pets because of it, because they are very shiny and they're very attractive snakes in general, and they have very cute puppy eyes, and they can be in grey and brown in color when you look from a distance, and they are mostly on the ground. They are terrestrial, but they also burrow to look for their prey, and they eat a wide variety of full vertebrates, and they're very dire in both captivity and in the wild. The juveniles of sunbeam snakes, they have a whitish patch above their head. I think you will know this species, the reticulated python. Scientific name is Megalopython reticulatus. We have a number of pythons in the area. We have the short-tailed python, it's like a black python, it's short and fat and angry. But for this reticulated python, it's the world's longest snake, exceeding the green anaconda. The green anaconda can look much larger because of the size, the curve, whereas for the reticulated python is slender and long. They are very capable snakes. They can climb and they have very enormous body strength and they can swim very well. And I personally have seen one digging right into the mud, heading to nowhere. I don't know where he's going, but he just went dive right in. So, but I'm sure he knows what he's doing. And it's one of the most important species we have in Singapore and Southeast Asia because we have large number of rats running everywhere. It's a pest, so it carries a lot of diseases and things that we do not want to pass on to us. So this reticulated python, they help to keep your population on control and also help to remove them in some of the places and helping us to manage the problem. Even though it's our fault, we did not manage our waste properly that live around for the rats to thrive on. So we definitely need the reticulated python. But unfortunately, a lot of people have been killing them out of fear mostly and meat in the past. The sixth species is the banded fowl snake. Banded fowl snakes look like a sea snake because of the pattern is black and white and it swims in the salt water, but it's non-venomous. It's a constrictor type of snake, means it bites the prey and it coils around the prey to suffocate or to keep it from moving and then swallow it up. The juvenile of this species are much more strikingly constructed. I mean, as in like it's more black than the adults, that the colors start to fade and they can get a bit more brownish, but the bands are quite still obvious. Another amazing part is that they're able to store more oxygen in his blood in the salt water where it's very kind of a harsh habitat because it's very of the high salt content, and it has sensory organs on the scale that is able to sense the prey in the murky waters where the visibility is very low. Alright, so we also have two species of sludge snakes in Singapore. One is native and the other one is introduced species. The native species, the common name is smooth sludge snake. It's very rare. We have about maybe less than 5 records of them. They are in rock tails, very old dead records, and one that is alive that my friend saw in Nee Soon Swamp Forest during his research. Can be found in Malaysia and Borneo. So as the name suggests, they all eat slugs. And slugs, you can see them usually after rain or even without rain, but you see them on the leaves. They look like snails without the shell. For the white-spotted sludge snake, it's the introduced species. It's a very pretty species and found in the north part of Singapore, ranging from Kranji wetlands all the way to Pasir Ris. There are 4 species of whip snakes in Singapore. 3 of them are from the same genus Arhetula, and they are all whip snakes, the common name. And so I'm going to be talking about the genus Arhetula of 3 species: speckled-headed whip snake, big-eye whip snake, and oriental whip snake. So the speckled-headed whip snake is named after the spots and the pattern that is found on the dorsal part of the snout and the sides also, which is easily confused with the juveniles of the oriental whip snake who have spots at the side. But the telling difference is that the size of speckled-headed whip snake much larger because they are adults, and the oriental whip snake are smaller. But the other way to look at it is the pattern of the speckled-headed whip snake have more spots on the above, and the oriental whip snake are from the sides only. So the speckled-headed whip snake is actually a very rare species in Singapore. It's recorded in Bukit Timah and Botanic Garden. The oriental whip snake, one of the most common snake in Singapore, and it found in a wide range of habitat. The big-eye whip snake can be easily confused with the oriental whip snake because they basically look similar in the color, the size, but Oriental whip snake is larger. The best way to tell them apart is the eye and the snout ratio. For the big eye whip snake, the snout is shorter and the eye is usually yellow. But for the Oriental whip snake, the snout is longer and sharper and the eye is a bit more lighter or white. So that's the 12 species for today. I'll continue on the next video.